And keeping God's command, keeping God's command. Midweek meditation, meditation. on keeping God's command, keeping God's command.
Oh, here it is. Midweek Meditations. It's 5:30 Central. It's time to meditate on these scriptures, y'all. So I pray that each and every one of y'all are doing well, that you're ready to receive a little bit of inspiration from the Lord, maybe a little motivation to read your Bible, to get a little better relationship with the Most High God. Because, everybody said they got a personal relationship. But, sometimes you got to exercise that relationship by actually reading the scriptures. Midweek Meditations, we're here as usual, 5:30 Central. It's time for us to really dig into the Bible, and I'm going to share with you what I've been thinking about, share with you what I've been meditating on. So prayerfully, for those of you who are tuning in, you're excited and you're ready to get going to see what we're going to talk about this week, but also that you have hit that share button, so we can get the message spread to the others that may be in need of the same message that you're in need of. It's a wonderful day to do this right here in the middle of the week, right in between the upcoming Sabbath and the last Sabbath. I know you probably need that spiritual recharge. The Sabbath day cannot come soon enough, so perhaps you just need a few moments in the middle of the week, on hump day, whatever you want to call it, on Wednesday, just to remind you of how special you are, remind you of how your God's chosen people, to remind you of the great legacy that your forefathers have left you with, and your foremothers as well, and to inspire you of the great things that you have coming forth. Maybe that's why you're here. And if that be the case, shalom, welcome. So I want to see who we got in the building today. We got Yergite 19436525. We got Shebrew Swag. We got Josiah. We got, who all we got? We got people. Let me open these comments up. Ariel, Rick Judah. I see you. Hey, if y'all can hit that share button, that'd be wonderful. And Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram. Not Instagram. We're not live on Instagram. But YouTube, live in all these different locations. So whatever your favorite platform is, and if you feel the need to make it easy for you to find, I see you, Solomon. I see you, Ezekiel. All the other previous meditations, just go to midweekmeditations.com. So it's not difficult to find what you're looking for. Everything will be there in one place. Don't forget Bible trivia. Don't forget the daily verses. All of these things are there for your resource, to really put you in the right spirit, because there's a lot of content that'll put you in the wrong spirit. But thankfully you got content that'll put you in the right spirit. So let's get to it today. I want to go ahead and do like last week. We're going to start with a quick prayer to get us in the mood, to get our spirit right. Normally we jump right in, but I wanted to start adding that into the mix for brothers and sisters to really, make sure that they're in the right mood, the right spirit. That might be the thing you needed in the middle of the week. So I'm going to sit up to prayer now. Heavenly Father, Father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Father, the 12 tribes of Israel, we thank you, Lord. We thank you for bringing us together once again, yet again, in an assembly together. This is not your normal setting in which people have used to get the word, but now it is becoming that because of the way life has transitioned and changed. So we ask that you make this a great assembly, Lord, that this is the church that we need it to be, that this is the opportunity that we need to get and hear the word and fellowship with one another. So we ask that you put that spirit upon us to come together in unity, to come together as brother and sister, hoping and praying for one another and believing in each other first and foremost, Lord. And we also ask that you put a spirit upon us that we are going to absorb the things that we learn, absorb the things that we talk about, that we study to show ourselves approved, and that we are not ashamed of what we learn, Lord, but then make application of it. So we also ask you that you heal those who are in need of healing, Lord, and bless those who are in need of blessing, Lord, In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so let's do it. Today's topic is a leader's legacy. A leader's legacy. Shout out to the team, Midweek Meditation team, that's been putting out the content. That's been helping us with the content to deliver it to you. The daily verses, the Bible trivia. Shout out to those brothers, those sisters who've been putting in that work, because they help push the ministry that much further. And as we talk about a leader's legacy, it all stems from Hispanic Heritage Month being this month, and we're kind of going into talking about that, going into talking about the Northern Kingdom of Israel, and the great legacy that Northern Kingdom has left upon us. Because a lot of times, when you talk about being an Israelite, people make it seem so Negro, so black only. And let's not forget that, our other brothers and sisters scattered abroad, even though they may not have the name attached to them by the oppressor of Negro, even though they may not live in the same area, and even some of them may not look exactly the same as the rest of us. Yeah, guys, contrary to some people's belief, Israelites come in all different colors, all different features, all different skin tones, all different hair textures. And I want to really shout out to the Northern Kingdom of Israel, because they make up a bulk of the tribes of Israel. Judah being, what many of us will consider the American blacks on this side of the world, even though that's not the only people that are from Judah. There are other Judites around the world that have never been to America, never been associated with America. But yet and still, they are from the tribe of Judah. There are Levites. There are Benjamites. They're all of the 12 tribes of Israel scattered around the world. As it says in Isaiah 11:11, we're not just in one place, okay? So today we're going to talk a little bit about legacy. We're going to talk a little bit about the legacy that the Northern Kingdom has left. And, in defining the word legacy, well, let's define it real quick. Let me just pull up legacy. The word legacy is the amount. No. Let's open it up. Those new definitions here. It's talking about computers and all that kind of stuff. All right. I like this definition right here. This is an adjective from Merriam-Webster's. It says of, relating to, associated with, or carried over from an earlier time, technology and business. That's a decent definition, but I think we can find some more definition too. Legacy. Now, y'all gonna have to be patient, because we gotta find good definitions here. This definition, dictionary.com, says anything handed down from the past as from an ancestor or predecessor. This one says, and that was a noun, inheritance, tradition. Okay. So we're going to start in Sirach chapter 44, verse 1. And what I want to really go into today is the fact that the thing that you leave behind, the name that you leave behind within your legacy, if you will, can be positive or negative. And within the Northern Kingdom, we got both sides of the coin, as with all of the tribes. But at the same time, I think it'd be beneficial for us to really think about, meditate on the good legacies that we had, so we can look up to figuring out how to continue to leave good legacy, as well as the negative legacy, the bad legacy, because we got both sides of things, And we need to be able to examine both and then say, you know what, well, I want to end up on this side or that side. And if we can do that, if we can meditate on that a little bit, maybe it will inspire us to be great. I see Dr. Chase in the building. Maybe it will inspire us to leave a wonderful legacy that maybe someone else never did. And to make up for the missteps of our past, to make up for the missteps of our forefathers, to really give our nation something to hope for, something to look up to, something to see as honorable, okay? So, Sirach 44 and 15, and 1. And here we go. It says, let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begot us. So we're going to stop right there. We're going to first and foremost recognize the fact that you're the Israelites. You're God's chosen people. You're the greatest people that ever walked the face of the earth. You were chosen to be special. You were chosen to be set apart. You were chosen to be holy and righteous. And guess what? Because of that, you come from a long line of famous men. And our fathers that begot us, right? Verse 2, the Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. So we got to stop there. We got to really just soak this up. We got to enjoy what we're reading, because I know in 2020, we feel like we really ain't looked at as having a great history, and we feel like we don't really get a lot of recognition for the great things that we've done. In fact, we still feel like we're less than human to certain people, and we feel like that we can't even get equal rights, let alone be the rulers of this earth. Well, we got to read the past in order to get to the future, because the past is going to let us know what we did wrong to mess up our present, and what we can do right to gain the things that we want, the benefits in the future. So we read on, and it says this: leaders of the people by their counsels. So what we're going to talk about a little bit today is leaders of the people. And the reason why they're good leaders is because their counsel was good. And the reason why their counsel was good because they gave counsel by their understanding of God's word. And because they had power that God gave them. And because they were able to rule within kingdoms, whether it was their own kingdom or not, they were able to rule and influence men within their kingdom because of the information that God put within them to disperse to the people and to declare those prophecies. So it says, leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning, meet for the people. Meet meaning good for the people. Wise and eloquent are their instructions. Their instructions are the biblical instructions that God gave to them to give to the people. Such as found out musical tunes and recited verses and writing. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitation. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praise might be reported. That's a legacy right there. They left themselves a legacy to the other people that came behind them. As we read in the definition of legacy, something that the ancients left to us. Now, when you have that good name, you ride on high with that, because guess what? We're riding on the name of Israel for the long haul. And because of that, when you hear the name Israel, you know you come from good stock. When you hear the name Israel, you know that God is on your side. When you hear the name Israel, you know that rulership is a part of your life. So we read on. It says, there be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praise might be reported. Reported means people are going to speak about it. It's going to be told. There's a legacy to leave behind. And some there be which have no memorial, who are perished, as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. See, some people don't leave that same legacy as others. Some people, they never did anything worth mentioning. Some people, the things that they did were things that you wouldn't want to mention. You wouldn't want to bring down, because maybe it's a little bit embarrassing to the family as we go on. It says, verse 10, but these were merciful men, whose righteousness have not been forgotten. This is what you want, Israel. You want your righteousness to not be forgotten. See, a lot of us in the world, from a worldly perspective, we're known for doing some of the most Negro dumb, some of the most out of line things that you wouldn't be proud of things. Even though we got notoriety, it wasn't something that you really want in the history books. You don't want to be known as a thief in the history book. You don't want to be known as a murderer in the history book. We don't want to be known as drug dealers in the history book, liars in the history book. But yet some people, they've done it at such a level that they are known for that. It says, but these were merciful men. That's you. That's you, good, kind people who are watching with us today, who are tuned in with us right now. Righteous men that won't be forgotten. Names that are not tarnished, right? It says, with their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance. Because remember, we talked about that. There's a seed, the people that came after the originator, the people that came after that ancestor, there remains an inheritance for them. They inherit that good name and they ride off the power of the good name of their forefather. And their children are within the covenant. Their seed steadfast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. See, when you have a glory to the righteous story, when you have a glory that is the thing that is being left behind and passed down and reported on, it won't get blotted out. When you did some things that you weren't supposed to do, we might want to blot that out, edit that part out. I know the other nations know what I'm talking about because they surely have blotted out their negative history and they try so hard to forget it and they try so hard to pretend like it never happened. And Israel, we got things in our history too that we would like to forget, that we would like to pretend like it never happened. But we must get past the problems that we have right now in our life to get to that point. And as we meditate today, as we meditate on these scriptures today, we're going to inspire ourselves to do greater things than we've ever been doing in our current life. All right, it says, verse 14, their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth evermore. You want your name to live far past your body. The people will tell of their wisdom. You want people to talk about how great and wise and smart and intelligent you were. And the congregation shall show forth their praise. You want the congregation to be willing to praise you for the good that you've done. Nobody wants to be talked negatively about. So when we read this, we got to understand that there's so much here that we've done throughout the line of chosen people that have come since Adam until today. And though, we got those that went from Adam all the way to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we want to go right past Jacob and get to those Northern Kingdom tribe members today. We want to give them the shout out today because, they need to know that we appreciate what they did in the past. We need to know that we have a legacy that was left behind us that was great, that we need to aspire to and to live up to so that we don't let the forefathers down. That's what we need to focus on today. That's what we're going to focus on today. So what we're going to do today is go through each of the tribes and learn a little bit about them, just a little bit. We just meditating. This is to inspire you to do some more research. This is to inspire you to read for yourself. But we're going to go into just a little bit about each of these different tribe members, and some is going to be negative and some is going to be positive. But at the end of the day, the goal is to encourage you to be on that positive side. And if you're not Northern Kingdom, it's okay. Shout out to your brothers and be thankful that they were there for you, because guess what? Without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. The Northern Kingdom, have done such great things, and many of us, if we're being honest, we don't know what tribe we're from. We got a speculation. We got an idea. We would like to say that we're from the tribe of this or the tribe of that, but ain't no telling where God has really placed your spirit, what seeds you really come through. So be happy that you got all these different tribes of Israel that have done such great things, and you could just happen to fit into one. And one day when you return and you get to that gate and God says that you can come through the gate, you're going to pick a gate, not because you chose it and that's what you wanted, but it actually is not you picking the gate. It's you being told to go through the gate of your forefather, one of the 12 tribes of Israel, and it may be a northern kingdom brother. So of the northern kingdom, what they call the 10 lost tribes, you got Asher, you got Gad, you got Naphtali, you got Manasseh, Issachar, Zebulun, Simeon, Reuben, Ephraim, and don't even forget Dan. Dan was a part of those, of the 12 tribes as well, of the 12 tribes of Israel as well. Even though you don't find them in Revelations, Dan is still a part of that. So let's start out with Asher. Let's go to Luke chapter 2, verse 36. I need y'all to make sure y'all got your Bibles with you. I need you to make sure you're paying attention. I need you to think about the great men and women that came from various tribes. But we're going to look at these men of the northern kingdom today and focus, okay? And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity. We stop there. I just said we're going to talk about the great men. And you want to read about Anna? Well, yes, I do want to read about Anna. Because Anna, the prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, see, she had a father that definitely put her in position by educating her, by raising her right to be a prophetess. Without Phanuel, where would Anna be? She was of a great age and lived with her husband 7 years from her virginity. She was able to live at a great age, and she was able to keep that virginity, which most of our women can't say these days. They don't have a father that did such a great thing. They themselves were not able to live up to such a great reputation. And I know, don't nobody get offended. Everybody, come from different walks of life and did some things that they did. But we all got to understand, if we could do it right, if we were actually in the spirit, if the Lord, we want the Lord to have looked at us as pure, holy, and sanctified and not having any spot or blemish. And that's a part of virginity, okay? Somebody might get a little offended and say, oh, well, that's your interpretation. That's how you feel. I can do what I want because I'm grown. Well, that's how you feel. But God is letting you know that this woman, the reason why she was being mentioned, because you don't just mention anybody. You mention people who have a reason to be mentioned. She lived with her husband 7 years from her virginity. And she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple. So when she lost her husband, it didn't turn her into somebody that she wasn't before. It didn't cause her to go crazy and in her moment of needing to heal that she had to go do other things, forgetting the things that her father taught her. Because, a lot of people, let's be honest, Israel, when they lose that loved one that they had, then they go and try to fill that void by just letting anyone that doesn't deserve to be in their life in their life. But she was like, nah, I'm different. It says, which departed not from the temple. Departed not from the temple, meaning what? She stayed in a place where the spiritual mindset was there. She stayed in a place where holy people were at. She stayed with the righteousness surrounding her. And not only that, it says, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day. So she fasted often. She prayed often. Where do you think she learned that greatness from? I see you wonder. Where do you think she learned that from? She had a father named Phanuel who was there to really put her in that spirit. And unlike many of us today, as I said, we don't have that type of father. But guess what, brother? You could learn to be the father of an Anna, of a prophetess, of a woman who you can give away to a husband in her virginity, of a woman who, when things go wrong, she stay in the spirit of the Lord and is continuing to be a godly woman regardless of the situation that she's dealing with. She will fast, she will pray, and she will be known for it. See, I need y'all to understand that. This sister's known for this. She's known for this type of lifestyle that she lived. We had to point this out because not everybody was known for that. Somebody else was not gotten in their virginity. Somebody else did not stay in the temple. Somebody else was not able to be a prophetess. So we ask ourselves, okay, what tribe she from? She was from the tribe of Asher with her father. Her father was from the tribe of Asher. We got to have all praises to the Most High God for a father figure like this from the tribe of Asher. Now, she's only mentioned once, but guess what? A lot of people are only mentioned once, but they did great works. They did great things to be mentioned at all, because you got to think about the generations of old. You got to think about how many people have gone through the tribe of Asher. How many people, how many Israelites, their name was never mentioned. Remember what we read in Sirach 44, verse 9. It says, and some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been. There are Israelites that you have never heard about, that have nothing written about them, that we never speak about. It was like they were never born, and their children after them the same way. So we meditate on that, right? Now I need y'all to hit that share button. You know, Facebook acting funny with all the changes that they have made. It's hard to get that message to the people. They want that money, I'm sure. I'm sure they want you to pay to play, right? But that's okay. If you're on Periscope, hit the share button as well. If you're on YouTube, hit the share button as well. All praise to the Most High God. We got something to be able to get this information out to the people regardless. All right, so where are we? We're going to go now to the tribe of Gad a little bit. Yep. We're going to go to 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 8. And of the Gadites, there separated themselves unto David into the wilderness men of might, and men of war fit for the battle, that could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and were as swift as the roes upon the mountains. So we stopped there for a sec. We got to first and foremost shout out to the forefather Gad, because his name is being remembered here, and in return we're getting to know those who came from the mighty tribe of Gad, who were men of might. That's what they were known for. They were known for being men of might. You know, not cowards, not wusses, not scared men who were not going to do what they needed to do to get the job done, but men that were fit for the battle. You know, a lot of us need to get ourselves there. We need to aspire to be men fit for the battle, and most of us, the only thing we're fit to battle is a box of Twinkies. Good thing there's no more Twinkies being made anymore, so you can't battle that. But for many of us, that's all we good for, is battling some drink, some food. But if a fight went down, we wouldn't be able to protect ourselves, our family, or our nation. So many of us need to meditate on that. How do I become a man of might? How do I become a man of war fit for battle, that could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were like the faces of lions? See, some of us, let's be honest, our faces are like the faces of kittens. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone. I'm not trying to belittle anyone. I'm not trying to make anyone feel offended. I'm just trying to say that we have forefathers who are noted for having faces like lions. And we, even though we may be of lesser stature than some of our forefathers, right? We can look at this and say, you know what? Let me gird my loins. Let me build myself up. Let me get myself to the point where I got the face like a lion. And it says, and we're as swift as the roes upon the mountains. Some of us are pretty slow, you know, and trying to run to the mailbox will be a task. And that's okay. That's where you are now. But where will you be tomorrow? Where will you be next month? If the Lord lets you live, will you get yourself fit for the battle? So let's go to verse 9 and figure out who are some of the names that were mentioned. We got Ezra the first, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmanah the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, Machbaniah the 11th. These were the sons of Gad, captains of the host. One of the least was over 100, and the greatest over 1,000. So first and foremost, these are the names. Like if you're trying to find a nice baby name, these are names that you want to put forth, because these are names of mighty, valiant men. It got good legacy behind it. See, some people be picking names that if you really look at the legacy, you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, that wasn't that. You might not want to live up to that name. Some people be picking names that be of other nations, and you try to make it quite Hebrew. Some people picking names that are for the opposite gender. Some people be picking names that are for people who, you know, hopefully you know what your name means, because maybe the first thought that comes to mind is somebody else with that name that had a negative connotation, even though there are people with positive connotations. But I'm just pointing out, right here, we got people from the tribe of Gad. We got names right here that are of mighty men, men of might, men fit for war. And they were captains of the host. They were able to manage hundreds of people, and some even thousands. And that's something that we got to think about. That's something that we got to meditate on. That's something that we got to put in our spirit. Like, can I manage 2 people? Can I manage my wife and kid? Can I manage anyone around me? Can I really be a captain over these people? I see you, Rosalind. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're tuning in today. Please hit that share button and get some of your friends and family on. So these were the sons of Gad. Verse 15 says, these are they that went over Jordan in the first month, when it had overflown all his banks, and they put to flight all of them of the valleys, both toward the east and toward the west. So it's being specific. Make sure you know who these people are. These are the people who did good work. These are the people who really established us to be part of the nation that we are now. So now let's talk a little bit about Naphtali. Let's go to Judges chapter 4, verse 6, because we just read about Gad. Gad had a man, a group of men who were warriors. Asher had a great father. You know, what does Naphtali have? Judges 4 and 6. Matter of fact, we're going to start at verse 4. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapitoth, she judged Israel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak the son of Benoam out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, have not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and the children of Zebulun? So we're getting the stage here. We're figuring out who this is. We're figuring out that Barak is the key to this group of people that are going to go out and draw toward Mount Tabor. And they're going to be led by Barak, who is from Kadesh Naphtali, the son of Abinoam. So let's go to Judges 5. Well, let's read on just a little bit. Verse 7 says, and I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, and with his chariots and his multitude I will deliver him into thine hand. So Barak is going to go against Jabin. And Barak said unto her, if thou wilt let me go, if thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went with her. So be mindful that we also are including a little bit of people into this as well from another tribe, but we'll focus right now on Naphtali. So let's go to chapter 5 and verse 18. Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeoparded their lives unto the death in the high places of the field. So it's being made known that the type of men that were of Naphtali were willing to risk their lives for the nation. Zebulun too were willing to risk their lives for the nation. Verse 19, the kings came and fought. Then fought the kings of Canaan in Ta'anak by the waters of Megiddo. They took no gain of money. So not only did they fight, but they were not fighting for money. You know, a lot of people, they'll fight. They'll do the work if you pay them. But these men were like, I'm doing it for a reason. And money ain't the reason. Money ain't the motivation. Don't get me wrong. We need money. Money is the defense. Money answer of all things, you know. But they weren't worried about the gain of money at the time. They were worried about doing what Deborah had brought forth in previous chapters. Verse 20 said, they fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. They were fighting for spiritual reasons. They were fighting for heavenly reasons, godly reasons. It wasn't about the money. So now, I need y'all to think about this. This is the type of people that your Northern Kingdom forefathers, this is the type of spirit that they had on them. And see, for us, we got to ask ourselves, well, dang it, do I got the spirit of anyone from Naphtali? Am I willing to go risk my life for the betterment of the nation? Am I willing to be like Barak and go command thousands against another army of people that may be in a better position to win? Because remember, we're in the book of Judges, and God ain't really fooling with us like that in Judges because we were so hard-headed and rebellious in Judges. Don't get me wrong, there were moments where we got our spirit right, but we oscillated up and down on right and wrong, and that means what? That means that God wasn't always fighting on our side. As we read in Judith chapter 5, we learn that, hey, that's how the nations can defeat us, is when we're in the midst of sin. But not only that, they were doing it for the right reason. They weren't focused on the money. And I ask you as Israel to think about that. When it's time to put forth the brick for your nation, is that going to be you? Are you going to leave a legacy that people will say, hey, man, this brother, this sister was down for the cause to help the nation? Or is the legacy going to be, he wasn't willing to risk anything for anybody. He didn't even risk it for himself. Oh, no. Oh, well, I mean, the only way you can get him off the couch is if you put money in front of his face. And then he died loving money, because the love of money is the root of evil. You don't want none of that to be a part of your legacy. But what's being said here is great things and great characteristics of people. And that's what we're going into today, is learning about the characteristics of some of our people. So we also got to talk about, we'll talk about Zebulun, since we already mentioned the name. And we'll go to Judges 5:18. We just read that. We'll go to 1 Chronicles 12 and 33. Of Zebulun, such as went forth to battle, expert in war, with all instruments of war, 50,000 which could keep rank, they were not of a double heart. All right, so we already got a little bit of kudos from Zebulun, from Deborah, but now we got to keep it going, because good things are being said about this tribe. Not only were they fit for the battle, but they were expert in war. How many of us are expert in anything? You know, I'm not talking about you YouTube university graduates where you learned something last night while watching YouTube and you think you're pretty good. I'm talking about somebody who is an expert, who can be looked to lead in that form. Like, you know, maybe I'll learn the art of war on YouTube, but if I've never been in a fight, if I've never been in a battle, it'll look good until I get popped in the face and don't know how to handle it, right? Maybe I'll, be twirling and slicing and dicing with my sword, for show. But when it come down to really being in war, what if I don't know how to use it properly? Well, the members of Zebulun were expert in war. with all instrument of war. And maybe that's something that we should ascribe to, want to lift ourselves up to as being expert in something. And not just one of us. Look at it, 50,000. Imagine if it was 50,000 experts that you could team up with. Right now, for many of us, our skill, we feel like we're the only one that know how to do what we do. And if we don't do it, it don't get done. But imagine if you had 50,000 experts in any field. War being one of them, yes. But 50,000 experts in bringing forth food for the nation. We wouldn't have to go to the other nations. Bringing forth water, building things, training our animals and our dogs and our horses and 50,000 experts. We could actually have something called a nation, which could keep rank, meaning they were able to be obedient. They were able to fall in line. They understood the fact that there's somebody leading them. They were able to team up together and work as a unit, as one. And it says they were not of double heart, meaning they weren't flip-flopping, they weren't wishy-washy, they were dedicated to the cause. Their mind was stable. They weren't thinking thoughts of deception. They weren't thinking thoughts of changing the doctrine and the rhetoric and really moving in their own space and not really thinking about how to build a nation, but how to build themselves. No, they were expert in war, ready for the battle. 50,000 of them all on the same page. That's what they were. And since we just talked a little bit about Naphtali, you see them in verse 34 as well. And of Naphtali, 1,000 captains. Like, we look at it as strange to see people of rank shouting out that they're from the tribe of Naphtali. Most people don't feel like they know anybody that thinks they're of the tribe of Naphtali. Now be mindful, I said that there are plenty of us that probably are of a tribe and are, not knowing it. There are plenty of us that think that we're Judah, that think that we're of any of the tribes. And we could be wrong. Only because we don't have the records. We don't have the information passed down because of our captivity. But with them, with shield and spear, 30 and 7,000. Where are you people that can hold the spear and the shield? Where are you experts of war? You might be of Naphtali or Zebulun. Now, let's go to Manasseh. Let's go to Judges chapter 6. Let's start at verse 27. Then Gideon took men of his servants and did as the Lord said unto him. And so it was because he feared his father's household. What household was that? We're going to find out. And the men of the city that he could not do it by, that he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. Verse 29. And they said one to another, who have done this thing? And when they had inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, have done this thing. So we finding out Gideon's lineage here. He's of his father's house, the father Joash. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, bring out thy son, that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal. So what was he known for doing? Casting down the altar of Baal, which was an idol. It wasn't our God. And because he hath cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, will ye plead for Baal? Will you save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death while it is yet morning. If he be a God, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down this altar. So guess what? Joash was proud of his son. And he stood up for his son. He said, man, somebody already destroyed your God that you're trying to take up for. If your God was a God, it wouldn't be cast down to the ground, would it? So if you so bad, you want to kill my son, you step forward and let me know how bad you are so I can put you to death right now this morning. Therefore, on that day he called him Jerubbaal, saying, let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down this altar. So Joash, who had a son named Gideon, said, let me give my son a new name, a special name, because he did something that I'm proud of. He did something that the nation should be proud of. He did something that's being recorded right now in history and being passed down to us, as it said in Sirach, that we would get those type of legacies passed down if our name was worth something, right? Gave him a new name, and it said, because he has thrown down Baal's altar, I'm going to call you that. That's what you're known for now. Gideon, as we proceed in verse 33, is going to give us a little more info. Then all the Midianites and all the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon. So Gideon is a person that was known to have the Spirit of the Lord upon him. Are you known to have the Spirit of the Lord upon you? Are you known to have the spirit of the devil on you? You know, some people, that's what they're going to remember you for. But you don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that is remembered for having the Spirit of the Lord. Now, I need y'all to make sure that y'all sending this to your Northern Kingdom brothers, your Northern Kingdom sisters. I see Sonic 77 join in. But I need y'all to really think about the fact that everybody has a legacy to live up to, should they want to, should they be willing, should they be able, you know. But many of us, we cool with living the wrong legacy, the negative legacy. So let's get back to it. It says, but the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiathar was gathered after him. He blew that trumpet so he could let the rest of the nation know what time it is. And that's what men do, you know. That's why we got things like the memorial blowing of the trumpet, to represent and to better understand why we would blow the trumpet in times of these wars with these armies. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh. Where he sent it? Through Manasseh, right? Who was gathered after him, and he sent messengers unto Asher, unto Zebulun, unto Naphtali, and they came to meet them. So all of the tribes that we just talked about, they still gathering up with Gideon. They gathering up with Gideon right now. So the tribes that we just read about, they still doing great things. They weren't one-trick ponies, one-hit wonders. Nope, they were known for continuously doing great things. And it says, verse 36, and Gideon said unto God, if thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor. And we're going to think about what's being said here. God is going to save Israel by the hand of Gideon. Gideon is going to be one of the saviors of Israel. Is that what's being said here? So if you understand as we read on, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand. So Gideon was going to get a sign shown to him. And it was so, for he rose up early in the morrow and thrust the fleece together and wringed the dew out of the fleece into a bowl of water. And Gideon said unto the Lord, let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece, let it now be dry upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. So God showed him again. Verse 40, and God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece, and there was dew on all the ground. So God, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't something like that could easily be manipulated. This was something that God kept proving. Hey, I'm going to save the nation of Israel by you, and here's the sign. So let's go over to verse 7, chapter 7. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, see, same person, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand have saved me. So Gideon was able to get so many people to follow him that God was like, man, if I let all of these people fight with you, Gideon, because all these people trust in you, and all of these people are ready to go to war with you, and all of these people are willing to stand up and be those who are willing to save Israel, then ain't nobody going to believe that I had a hand in it. And I need the people to see signs, right? I just showed you signs with the dew on the floor and on the fleece, but I need to show even more great wonders and show you how it doesn't take a huge army to overcome an army. What it takes is the Spirit of the Lord. Verse 2 said, and the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand have saved me. Not you, Lord. I did it. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whoever is fearful and afraid, let him return early from the Mount Gilead. And their return of the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. So there were people who were willing to go fight with Gideon that really wasn't as much of a warrior as we would like to acknowledge. We would love to say that they were those that were the men of valor, the mighty men, but some of them were not as strong as others, so they had to honor and humble themselves. And 20 and 2,000, 22,000, right? 22,000 men said, you know what, I'm going to go home. And there remained 10,000 that was still about their life. And the Lord said unto Gideon, there are yet too many. Bring them down into the water. So wait a minute, Lord. Even 10,000 is too many? You just got rid of 20,000. You got rid of 2/3 of the people. And yet that's not enough. That we can't take that many to war. The Lord said, yet the people are yet too many. Bring them down into the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people unto the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself, likewise everyone that bowed down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hands to their mouth, were 300 men. And the rest of the people bowed down to the knees to drink water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lap will I save you. So God is saying, Gideon, I know I put 32,000 men in front of you, but I'm going to send almost all of them home and leave you with 300. And these are the people that are going to save you and the rest of Israel. And deliver the Midianites into thine hand, and let all the other people go, every man into his place. Now we got to talk. We got to meditate on that for a sec. Gideon was a man of the tribe of Manasseh that was willing to go to war with other nations with a small number of people. He had that type of courage, that type of faith in the Lord, that type of valiancy in battle, that he was willing to lose 30-something thousand men and still go to war and not feel any different about it. He had that type of faith. And those 300 men had that type of faith. Because, if I'm being honest with you, I feel confident if I had 30,000, I feel more confident if I had 30-something thousand people with me than I would if I had 300. But, great stories have been made from situations like this, like the 300, the movie, right, with the Spartans. This is where you get some of that rhetoric from. This is where you get some of that script from, by reading Judges and getting Gideon as a example of what that movie should have been about. So Manasseh, they were about that battle too. Gideon was a man with extreme faith. Gideon made his father proud. Gideon had a father that was proud of his son, and and would defend them. Like, how many of us are so proud of our children that we wouldn't defend them in wickedness, but we can also defend them in righteousness? Like, how many of us even have the opportunity to defend our children in righteousness? So we go to Issachar. 1 Chronicles 7:1. Now the sons of Issachar were Tola and Pua, Jeshub and Shimron, 4. And the sons of Tola, Uzi and Raphiah and Jeriel and Jemai and Jibsam and Shemuel, heads of their father's house, to wit, of Tola. They were valiant men of might in their generations, whose number was in the days of David 2 and 20,600. Valiant men came from the tribe of Issachar. That's what you want to be known as. And the sons of Uzi, Izariah, and the sons of Izariah, Michael and Obadiah and Joel and Ishiah, 5, all of them chief men. See, Issachar had chief men in the building. That's the legacy they're left by, because you had great men and they just kept becoming greater and greater. They just kept living up to the legacy. Nobody let the family down. Nobody let the family name down. And with them by their generations after the house of their fathers were bands of soldiers for war. See right here, this shirt says soldier right there. I don't know if you can see it good. But, I want to live up to the fact that my forefathers were soldiers. Soldiers for war. Many of us, we rather try to piece our way into things and not even care about war. But war is a part of our heritage. War is a part of our legacy. That's how we became the great nation that we have always been. So we read this about Issachar here in 1 Chronicles 7, but we go over to chapter 12 and verse 32. And the children of Issachar were men that had understanding of the time. So not only were they warriors, but they were smart men. They understood what they were dealing with. They understood the times, meaning they were educated and were able to understand the prophecy. They would understand the way things worked and why they were and how they were. To know what Israel ought to do. See, Israel as a whole, the nation as a whole, had to lean on Issachar to understand what to be done. And the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. See, when you have a brother, when you have a member of the family, when you have a legacy like this, you're known for leading the charge, leading the family. Like, it's 12 brothers and all of their offspring. So we got hundreds of thousands of people to be dealt with here. And Issachar were leading their brethren at their commandment. Oh, you know what to do, Issachar? We follow what you say. That's what we got to look up to. That's what we got to think about, is the fact that somebody had that type of spirit on them and left that type of legacy. And you got to ask yourself, do people look up to me like that? Are people willing to risk their life? Are people willing to follow me? Do people think that I have understanding and they're willing to humble down and listen to what I say and not be self-willed and think of themselves more highly than they ought to think? What is your legacy? Northern Kingdom had a great legacy. Let's talk about the bad legacy, though. Because we've talked about Asher, Gad, Naphtali, Manasseh, Issachar, Zebulun. We've talked about it. All right. Let's go to Second Chronicles 30 and 10. Now, in 2 Chronicles, chapter 30, you got to read it for yourself. Hezekiah is proclaiming a Passover for Judah and for Israel to return to the land. And verse 10 goes like this. So the post passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh unto Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. You had brothers, you had sisters of the northern kingdom tribes, Ephraim, Manasseh, Zebulun, that instead of going and worship the Lord, instead of being thankful and happy that we can go back and return to our land in Chronicles, as Hezekiah brings us back together for Passover, we had some negative people scorning and mocking. That's a stain on the name right there. Because we just talked about the good things that Manasseh and Zebulun did. But now that's what they do. But verse 11 says, nevertheless, divers of Asher and Manasseh and of Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. So there were brothers and sisters that were not of the negative spirit, were not so rebellious, were not laughing and mocking the nation of Israel to scorn, were not so out of the spirit and into idolatry that you couldn't remember what you were supposed to do. So we got both sides of the coin here. We got good and evil. We got the positive and the negative. So now we go to Judges 5 and 15. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar also Barak. And he stood on foot stood on foot into the valley. Let me read that again. He was sent on foot into the valley, for divisions of Reuben were great thoughts of heart. So we got to take into account here what's going on here. You had Reuben, who really wasn't on the same page with the rest of Israelites. While if we read up, I need y'all to do some homework, right? If you read up, you got people who are willing to go and fight against Jabin, which we read up a little bit about earlier. But then you had those Reubenites who was like, nah, we're not going. Verse 16 says, why abodest thou among the sheepfolds to hear the bleatings of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben were great searchings of heart. Gilead abode beyond Jordan, and why did Dan remain in ships? Dan did it too. Asher continued on the seashore. Asher did it too, and abode in his breeches. Zebulun and Naphtali were people that jeopardized their lives unto death in the high places of the field. So while we big up Zebulun and Naphtali earlier, we had to realize the reason why they were able and were necessary to be spoken of in such a positive manner is because there were those to be spoken of in a negative manner. See, there were divisions among the Israelites where they went into their own thought process, their own counsel, and instead of going to help their brethren, the Israelites against Jabin, they stayed and did their own thing. They were so worried about their home and their flocks, even though it wouldn't be a home and a flock if they got defeated, because Jabin would come get them next. They didn't want to be in the quarrel. They didn't want to be in the battle. They didn't want to give assistance to their brother. So which legacy are you? Are you on the side that don't give assistance to your brother and you so worried about your house and your flocks? Or are you on the side of those who would risk it for the betterment of the nation? Because if everybody stood at home and did for themselves, where would we be today? What would be our legacy in this Bible that we have now? See, it made the leaders uneasy that the brothers would decide to do such a thing. And with such a tribe that had that type of power behind them, could have been very beneficial. So that was what Reuben did. That was what, Asher did, Dan did. Negative. Let's see what happened in 2 Chronicles 15 and 8. And when Asa heard these words, let's read up a little bit. Let's read up a little bit. Let's go to verse 3. Now, for a long season, Israel had been without the true God, and without a teaching priest, and without law. This is part of our history where we went without because of how we acted. But when they were in trouble, did turn unto the Lord God of Israel and sought him, he was found of them. In those times, see, think back to what they said earlier. God didn't want Gideon to have so many men because then they thought they would think that they would be able to fight for themselves. See, we had it so bad in life at times where we didn't have God on our side, nor did we have the men. We had it to where brothers didn't want to fight for brothers, and God wasn't with us because we was wicked. We had times where there was nobody to teach us the law, nobody to be a priest to us, because people wouldn't do their job, because people were not thinking about the nation as a whole, they were thinking about themselves, doing what was right in their own eyes in the time of Judges. And in those times, verse 5, there was no peace to him that went out, nor to him that came in, but great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the countries. And nation was destroyed of nation, and city of city, for God did vex them with all adversity. See, there was a time when we were in the midst of all adversity. Be ye strong therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. See, many of us need to hear that. We need to not be weak. We need to understand that our work will be rewarded. That means we got to put in work, even when it seems like it ain't going to do us no good. And when Asa heard these words, the prophecy of Obed the prophet, he took courage and put away the abominable idols out of the land of Judah and Benjamin, out of the cities that he had taken from Mount Ephraim. Ephraim had plenty of idols within it, so check it out. And renewed the altar of the Lord that was before the porch of the Lord. And he gathered all Judah and Benjamin and the strangers with them out of Ephraim and Manasseh and out of Simeon. So we're getting all of these to be discussed. For they fell to him out of Israel in abundance, when they saw that the Lord his God was with him. So they gathered themselves together at Jerusalem in the 3rd month, in the 15th year, in the reign of Asa. And they offered unto the Lord the same time of the spoil which they had brought, 700 oxen and 7,000 sheep. So now, when we go back to 2 Chronicles 30:1, this is the understanding that was necessary for why Hezekiah is getting to the point where he can bring forth the Passover, because all of these people are coming back to the land as Asa had put forth that work. Verse 2 Corinthians chapter 30, verse 10, once again said, so the post passed from city to city in the mount of Ephraim and Manasseh, even to Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. So Ephraim being a huge influence in the nation of the northern kingdom of Israel, because they were like the head tribe of the northern kingdom, they were really affecting people negatively, because this is how they rode. They were scorning and mocking the people who were trying to come back together with their people. Verse 18 says this, for the multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Issachar and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves. So Ephraim, along with the rest of his northern kingdom brothers, were not cleansing themselves. Yet did they eat of the Passover otherwise than it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, the good Lord pardon everyone. See, we had brothers that had to pray for other brothers because they weren't even trying to get themselves right to be honorable and to be ready to receive the Lord's Passover. See, when we read about the breaking of the bread and the drinking of the wine in Corinthians, it said that you got to be worthy of it. You got to examine yourself, that you don't eat to damnation. And these people were willing to do that. They were willing to eat themselves into damnation, but you had to have a brother be willing to pray over them. Verse 19, that prepare his heart to see God the Lord, God of his fathers, thought he be not cleansed according to the purification of the sanctuary. And the Lord hearkened unto Hezekiah and healed the people. So even though they was wicked, even though they didn't really want to do the right thing, God was willing to heal them, because we as a nation of Israel got to pray for our brothers. We got to pray for those who are amongst the nation of Israel. That even if they're not right, even if they ain't doing the right thing, even if they're not on your side, God, please bless them and give us a chance to come back together. So, now we're going to go to one more place, talk about some negative things, because you can be on one side of the fence or the other. We're going to go to Numbers. Let's go to Numbers. Chapter 25. Let's see if that's the right chapter. All right, verse 14. Now the name of the Israelite that was slain, even that was slain with the Midianitish woman, was Zimri, the son of Salu, a prince of the chief of the house of the Simeonites. And the name of the Midianitish woman that was slain was Cosbi, the daughter of Zur. He was head over the people and the chief of the house of Midian. So Zimri of Simeon is getting slain. What is he getting slain for? Well, you got to remember one of our great forefathers, Phineas. Verse 11 says this. No, we're going to go up to verse 6. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought his brethren, a Midianitish woman, in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door in the tabernacle of the congregation. And when Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, so this is a Levite, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly, so the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. And those that died in the plague were 24,000. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, have turned my wrath from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consume not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, behold, I give unto you my covenant of peace, and he shall have it, and his seed after him, when the covenant of the everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God and made an atonement for the children of Israel. Now the name of the Israelite that was slain, even that was slain with the Midianitish woman, was Zimri, the son of Salu, a prince of the chief house of the Simeonites. So I wanted to go there because, a negative stain that we can have is being so caught up in the woman that we want, for whatever reason, in whatever nation she come from, whatever her background is, doesn't matter. Being so caught up in a woman that you're willing to get all the rest of the nation killed. Because this man was with this Midianitish woman, there was a plague on Israel. He was of the tribe of Simeon and was supposed to uphold that, being a chief of the house of the Simeonites, but instead he did something that was wrong. He did something that God didn't approve of. But you had a man of the southern kingdom that took care of that. You don't want to be the brother, you don't want to be the sister that is the cause of your people's hurt, and that has to be written down and known for, don't nobody want to be named Zimri, because that's a negative connotation. That's a negative name. And the problem is in verse 1 of this chapter, Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. This man's union with this woman was not honorable. It was a whoredom. And it created idolatry, because it says next, and they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself to Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. This is not what you want to be known for, Israel. So we look at both sides, right? And we look at the northern kingdom. We look at the 10 lost tribes, right? And we see greatness within them, but we also see negative. And you got to ask yourself, what's going to be your legacy? Because even Zimri was a chief man of his house, so he had a leadership position. He was looked up to, and he was, worthy to be mentioned, but he was worthy to be mentioned on his negative side. What's going to be your legacy? Are you going to lead a legacy that is, something you want written in a book? Or are you going to leave a legacy that you wish could be blotted out? Because there are a lot of people who are going to have to think about that one day. People who, when you look back on their life, they're going to be known as the one that was a whoremonger. They're going to be known as the one that was an idolater. They're going to be known as the one that was, after filthy lucre. They're going to be known as the one that abused his own people. Even though they were leaders, this is what that leader was known for. But then there'll be those who are known for being righteous. Those who are known for standing up for the people, sacrificing with their needs for the people, and actually being something influential to the people. Which one are you? The northern kingdom has a great legacy. The southern kingdom as well. You got Christ. You got David and Solomon. You got plenty of great people to look up to. Paul. And the list goes on. But look at the great people we have to look up to in the northern kingdom. And some other honorable mentions, I really want you to take note of it. I want you to go look it up and put some notes on it for yourself. Will be to talk about Jonah, Hosea, Amos, Tobit. They were prophets to the northern kingdom, and you really need to go study about them. My encouragement is that Midweek Meditation is going to encourage you to go meditate more. Read for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. It's in the book. Reading Rainbow, right? And that's how we got to speak about it. My encouragement is that these are the stories that you can read to your children. You can build them up like that. These are the stories that you can read to your wives, that you can encourage your husbands to read. If you're going to win them over by the conversation, right? Say, hey, baby, did you know? This is the legacy we got. We don't have to always just look to the modern day leaders that are most recent and doing things that really wasn't in the name of Israel, but was in the name of being considered Hispanic. We can look back into the legacy that was written about our forefathers and say, wow, great forefathers. And if I believe that I'm Northern Kingdom, if I believe that I'm of this, these are the people I can look to and say, look at the great history that I have. So let's look at the comment section. I ain't visited in the comments in a while. Okay. So with that, I'm going to let each of you go. I want you to go to midweekmeditations.com, catch all the previous meditations. Go to the donation link if you're willing. Donate to the cause. It'll be helpful so that we can do and bring forth more of this ministry so that we can help others. That's part of our great legacy, is the help that we have for others. You see some of our forefathers. Matter of fact, let's go read we got one more thing we can read here. You know what? Let's give you one more on that negative. One more on that negative. We forgot about Dan. Amos 8:14. They that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, Thy God, O Dan, liveth, and the manner of Beersheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise up again. We never want to be considered in that name of those that fall and never rise again. You know, the righteous fall and get back up, but we don't want to be told that we're never going to get back up. So keep your name pure, Israel. Keep your name of value. Keep your name honorable. Leave a legacy. And with that, I say, shalom.